Hi guys, this is my special live on the occasion of the 4 years anniversary of the tragic war which Russia is waging against Ukraine since 2022. And I've been constantly calling for more European support, for more European decisive intervention in the war, and also to engage and help in all aspects. I'm now very much calling for the liberation of Crimea. And that is basically where it all started and will all end also with the liberation of Crimea. So we need to have a very clear new strategy. The constant 4 years of waiting for something to happen or to just minimally supply Ukraine have led us into a 4 year conflict. Yeah? This is extremely long for a war. And imagine, in Kosovo and in Bosnia, we were able, after once we decided to intervene, within weeks basically to establish peace in 95 and 99. And also now we have seen that same in Iraq and in Kuwait, and all these long-term processes, because of our own fear of Russia, are extremely damaging for the world economy and for our own security. And so we have to change our strategy towards decisive engagement into the Russian war in Ukraine, and of course, to help Ukraine to liberate Crimea. This is the key for peace. And Crimea is, I always have this Crimean tie, uh, which I was given in 2017. And I continuously and constantly remind everybody that this is the only way to win this war, is to liberate Crimea. And I will have this tie until we have won the victory. If you have any questions, I see, also in Austria and everywhere in the world, there's a lot of hesitation, fear of Russian nuclear weapons. I want just to make it very clear that in the last 1.5 years, Ukraine has hit so many targets inside Russia, starting from the Kursk liberation for half a year, and then to continue with the whole energy infrastructure of Russia, the Russian warships in the Black Sea, and of course the attacks on the Russian defense industry. And nothing has happened in terms of nuclear escalation. So the whole concept that if we attack Russia, then they will fight back with nuclear weapons has proven wrong. And we can constantly and intensively destroy and take down the Russian energy and defense sector without the fear of nuclear escalation, because we will not go and really ultimately attack Russia in a whole-scale war, which is the only scenario where nuclear escalation would be feasible. So let's be very, very clear. Russia is at the end, fiscally and militarily, morally, it was always like this, and it has only brutality escalation, and they have used that in the last 4 years. And now the big winter campaign against the Ukrainian energy infrastructure has also led simply to basically nothing, because they always say that they have this huge potential and they are so strong. The truth is, this is not the case. Yeah. And I'm now also on X Live, and also on Facebook, and on LinkedIn, and I think on YouTube should all work now. If you have any questions, you can ask me anything, because I see a lot of misunderstandings, and I personally, you know, I know the situation very well. In 2016, when I came to Ukraine, I also underestimated the Ukrainian resolve, the will to fight, and the determination for victory. And they have it. Of course, what they need is fiscal support, and this is what we have in Europe. And it would also be great if they had more military support from America. But Trump, at least, if he really starts now the intervention against Iran, that's something useful in that context. And I call, of course, for military intervention to liberate Iran, because it's part of the same axis of evil. And if he's not helping us on Crimea and on Ukraine, we will do that. But he can help us on the liberation of Iran, and that has also tremendous effect for freedom in the world, and is absolutely what I'm advocating, because I say now what we need is a two-side effort. It is basically we liberate Crimea and the Americans liberate Iran. Sorry, I was a bit distracted. A lot of things happening simultaneously. If you have other questions, I will be happy to answer them. And I will also constantly provide new interviews. I have now done significant, I think, very good interviews, especially with the Qatar opposition leader, which was a very good interview and his clear commitment. And then we will also have more interviews lined up in the coming days and weeks ahead. But today I will participate in the protests and demonstrations in front of the Austrian Parliament, and there's also the Kosovo Independence Day, and also Ukraine should recognize Kosovo. And of course, what is the aim? What is the strategic aim to keep peace? Is NATO enlargement. NATO enlargement for Ukraine, for Kosovo, for Bosnia, and for Austria, and for the European Union. Ultimately, we must be all in the European Union, inside NATO, and the EU itself inside NATO. That is the way forward. And that's why I've created this committee for Austria's NATO membership and for Ukraine's NATO membership, and also for the Kosovo, Bosnia, and all the countries. Ultimately, even Serbia will join NATO, and of course also Georgia and Ireland, Malta, and all the unfortunates which have not joined, and they will also join the European Union. This is a simultaneous process, which we have always done. So just, when Putin came to power fully, third time in 2012, and then he has basically made massive campaigns against European unity. And that was one of the big issues why we have basically a frozen enlargement process since Croatia's membership in 2013. But we need to revitalize, and we will, and Ukraine will be in the EU, in NATO, in the Euro, and it will be the same for Kosovo, for Albania, for Montenegro, for North Macedonia, and they will all join the European Union, and that is a very positive, and we will be much stronger, more united, and much more successful together. This is what I will propose, and this is also what we are going to do. And this is exactly how we are going to do it. Yes, this is a short life. I will also go on Instagram and on TikTok now, and I will then continue to go to these demonstrations tonight at 6 o'clock. I really recommend you if you're in Vienna, but I think there will be demonstrations all over Europe, all over the world. Please go, please participate, and looking forward. Support Ukraine's for victory, support Crimean liberation and the liberation of Iran. And the spring of liberation is on the way. Thanks a lot for listening. More to come. And today, a lot of live sent interventions in the afternoon expected, and looking forward. Bye.